What's up guys? We're going to do a little bit of story time today. I've been finding private deals over the last 4 months or so, and I want to tell you a little bit about that right now because it's not all glam and sexy checks, alright? You get some crazy experiences you guys are going to hear about. I think I've walked through, it would be at least 300 houses at this point. It's been my full-time occupation for the last few months, so we put out over 50,000 flyers for myself, all going to targeted areas that look like they have some really great potential for us. If you know London, Ontario at all, we've been focusing a lot on the Old East Village, south of Horton Street, everything basically east of Adelaide, and then started to get into more of the student rental areas now. In these last 4 months, I've seen some really weird stuff. And I've had a lot of really crazy phone calls. So my letter, just to give you some context, basically reads, "Dear homeowner, I'm interested in buying houses in your area. I'm an investor, so I'm looking for something that I can buy as is, fast, cash close. Really trying to entice these guys to give me a call." And then at the end of it, I just have my name, phone number, and it's a handwritten letter. So it actually looks very convincing. Something that almost nobody in Canada does right now. It gets a lot of attention. People really want to call you back and just kind of figure out what's going on. I've got a lot of people that are generally interested in asking me, you know, what are you all about? What do you guys do with the houses? Is this real? Is this a scam? But I've also got some phone calls that are like, "You stay off my property, don't come anywhere near my shit, I'm calling the cops on you, like don't walk on my grass." You know, they'll say just about anything, and these calls are usually pretty quick. It's usually like, "Hey, is this Adam?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, hey, great, what's going on, man?" And they're like, "Yeah, you put something in my mailbox?" And I'm always like, "Oh yeah, man, that's great." And I've got a great way to diffuse this now, but typically how it goes, like, "Hey, you don't put shit in my mailbox. I'm calling the cops and like, are you trying to steal from me? Or are you thieves or whatever?" And I'm like, "Hey guys, listen, like, I'm really just a real estate investor looking to buy some houses in your area. You're in a postal code that I really like, and Canada Post actually sends all of those out." Like, they really just don't want to trust you. And so I've heard all sorts of things like, you know, calling the police. You can't do what you're doing, it's illegal. You can't send out letters to people's houses. I'm like, "Oh, this is crazy, man. You guys are reinventing the wheel of excuses as to why I can't make more money." So I actually did get some really interesting follow-up calls. So a lot of these calls started coming in, especially at the start when I didn't really know exactly how I was going to deal with this, because this is basically just an objection. Like, this is somebody saying like, "I don't know enough about what you're doing for me to trust it." For whatever reason now, like, anger is the first response. So like, first of all, you have to diffuse that. But for some of those that you can't diffuse, they're just like, they're set. They're hitting a wall and you've just ruined their day. They've got to tell somebody. They got to tell the world about this. Which is actually great because it's free marketing for us. I know Dylan's flyer hit the radio station and they were talking about it. That's really cool. I'm shared all over Facebook. Facebook famous, especially in the Old East Village community. Everybody loves to hate on the letter there, so it's perfect for me. And because it just gives me more opportunity to talk to these people as well. But some of my most interesting calls, I had the OPP on the phone. So the OPP called me and said like, "Hey, we've got news of this letter. It looks kind of like a scam." And I said, "Oh, geez, does it really look like a scam?" Like, "Oh no." Because really what I'm trying to do is get my message across and get people to actually pick up the phone and talk to them about how I can help them by investing in their house. They right away just knew like, "Oh my God, this guy's a real person." They're like, "Oh, that's great. Like, that sounds great." I'm like, "Man, I'm in community development. Like, what I do is I come in and I look at houses that are depreciated or in disrepair and I fix them up. So this is great. Everybody wins. Everybody gets the price they asked for, whatever." And so the OPP was like, "Okay, well, this is a great thing." And so naturally I asked, "So are you guys selling? Like, who's selling? Who's got a house for me at the OPP?" And she had none of that and hung up, and that was good. Yeah, I mean, after that, I did a little bit of door knocking for a little bit. Door knocking in London is a whole new beast. So I've got a door-to-door sales background, so I did a little bit of that out west in Saskatchewan and Alberta and a little bit of Manitoba. What I never saw in Saskatchewan, Alberta, or Manitoba in all the doors I knocked was what I would see in Old East Village. So knock knock, I hear a bit of like dum 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 dum. I'm like, okay, that was a little bit weird, whatever, maybe they got kids. And then flies open the door flings open, and here's this lady wearing nothing but panties. She's got like literally just her underwear on, no bra. She's clearly being paid for her performance, if you know what I mean. And she goes like, hello? And I'm like, hey, what's going on? I don't skip a beat, right? Because I'm like door to door, I got this. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm just in the area looking at some houses. I'm a real estate investor. I'm really interested in this area because, you know, I go through my spiel, and like, I don't skip a beat. She doesn't skip a beat. That's how I know she's pro. Out comes this just massive greasy dude walking down the hallway like, what do you want? And I'm like, all right, this is gonna go one of two ways. This guy's either gonna listen to me or he's gonna tell me to get the hell out of there. So I have a good conversation with him. He wants nothing to do with me. That was kind of crazy. That's how I knew. This was actually in the start. This was like my first month looking for private deals. So I knew like that's when it was gonna be good. Fast forward 2 or 3 days from there, same block, same neighborhood. I hear a lot of sirens, and I'm like, oh, that's not atypical for Old East Village. Again, what I didn't expect was rubber screeching through. So this car, I see this crazy car comes flying through a stop sign. He's moving. He's probably doing like 80, and we're like in these little cookie cutter blocks. And there's 3 police cruisers behind him. So they're literally just ripping after him. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? I'm in Wild West here. I've also seen some crazy like hoarder situations where it's like real stuff. I walked through a house in London that had, it was obviously a bunch of drug users that had lived there. They left with all of the copper from the building, so like they literally ripped into the walls and took all of the metal out of the building so that they could, I presume, sell it. To get to any room in the house, you literally had to climb. Like, man, I was bouldering in there. I was rock climbing. It was just nasty. It was gross. That's become a little bit more typical of some of the stuff I walk through. Like, I've seen just about everything. I've seen a ton of needles here. It's just something now, like I'm just numb to it. I don't even notice. I just walk through. I went through one property at one point that had like absolutely no roof, and who knows when that started. Water damage through the entire building and just everywhere, and you could smell the mold, and you know, there was a full family in there, so I felt pretty bad. And she still didn't end up going with us. Like, I literally could have solved her problem right then and there, and she would have walked away with it at least break even. I don't know, maybe you guys have seen some crazier stuff, or maybe I've just forgotten because I'm so, I got my blinders on now. Leave some comments below if you have seen some crazy stuff walking through houses. I'd love to know what you've seen, and maybe we can compare notes. It's probably a really good starting place. If you're just getting into real estate investment and you want to hear some horror stories, I got them. All right, I can tell you just about everything, and nothing as bad as a student. I'll tell you that for free. Hit me up if you're a first-time investor, or if you're a seasoned investor. I really want to hear your stories. If you're a first-time investor, I'd love to hear your thoughts on looking at buildings in disrepair. I know that's all I look at, so I know what I'm looking for now. I know what's a real problem and what's actually just like some surface dirt that can help you with you know, your negotiations, and what's actually going to end up costing you in the long run. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you out with that, and love to have a conversation with you. That's me.